Are we on? Good morning. Good morning, everyone. What? Hello. Hi, everyone. Hi, all the Unitarians that are here. Give us a wave. We have the Unitarians coming to check us out, so y'all be on your best behavior. But good morning. My name is Mark, and I'll be your MC for today. I'm pleased to welcome those here in our community center and those joining us on Facebook Live and YouTube to the Kansas City Oasis. Since 2014, Oasis has been the premier secular alternative to faith-based communities. We welcome all, regardless of beliefs or non-beliefs, race, gender, sexual orientation, identity, or any other trait. We feel the human experience is better when it is shared, and we are so pleased that you have chosen to share it with us this morning. We gather around our 5 core values, which are: people are more important than beliefs, reality is known through reason, human hands solve human problems, meaning comes from making a difference, be accepting and be accepted. We have a great program for you all today. We have Micah Kubic from the ACLU, Nathan Corsi, I practiced it, I knew I did, I really did practice that name, and Ortega, excuse me. That was a joke. Nathan Corsi, originally from Akron, Ohio, and now based in Kansas City. He is a versatile and dynamic musician known for his captivating solo performances, rich musical background. Nathan's extensive repertoire spans a wide range of genres, covering hits from the 1950s to the present day. Nathan Corsi's performances are a fusion of his talents as a vocalist and a guitarist, enhanced by his innovative use of looping, harmonic, and a stomp box. So this sounds awesome. Come on up. Welcome, Nathan. Oh, that would be easier. Sorry about that.
Thanks for the introduction and the warm welcome. I'm not using the stomp box and the harmonica today, a little stripped down. But I'm really happy to be here with you guys.
Sing me a song when I'm lonely. Sing me a song when I cry. That you love me I'm broken, would you hold me? When I'm broken, barely lie. Would you try to mend me? Would you stand by my side? You know I'm broken every night. Sing me a song when I'm lonely. Sing me a song when I cry. That you love me. One more line. You know I'm lonely every night.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much.
The thoughts, the sounds, the days are all cascading like the ocean's waves. A crash, some smoke, some lightning hits you twice though. Forget what they say. 6 million shadows lost in battle, lost in war. I've got some battles, I lost some battles, I'll lose some more. The pull of all the planets, of all great masses, the pull of you. I feel the tugging tightly pulling surely into you. What is it for? 6 billion shadows that lost in battles, that lost in war. I fought some battles and I lost some battles, and I'll lose some more. Crash, some smoke, some lightning. It hits you twice though. Forget what they say.
Thank you. Oh my God, where have you been all my life? That was amazing. Was that amazing? I love that. That was great. We'll be talking to you after our next break and hear a little bit more about your band and stuff. So yeah, great. Oh, we have some birthdays coming up this week. January 26th, we have Nick Vanderdrift. On the 29th, we have Jess Sanchez. Another January 29th, Kelsey Reed. And on January 31st, Don Arnold. So happy birthday to them. Does anybody else have a birthday that I don't know about? Come on. Oh, right here. Yeah. Everybody, give her a big hand. The February book club has been announced. Maybe You Should Talk to Someone is revolutionary in its candor, offering a deeply personal yet universal tour of our hearts and minds, and providing the rarest of gifts, a bodily, revealing portrait of what it means to be human. Join our fellow Oasian readers next month. After reading the book, of course, you gotta read the book, people. Don't come for the snacks. Where was I? Oh, for a great discussion and chat. Today, we are honored to have members of the youth group at Shawnee Mission UU, SHMU, right? SHMU? SHNU? Smooch. They are being exposed to different religions, and this month they are exploring the humanism. Welcome to Kansas City Oasis. We're glad you're here. So everybody be on their best behavior. Stop and talk to them and share your journey on how you all got here, because I know we all got here different ways. So also join us to watch and sing along to our favorite musicals. Bring your own food and drink and comfy seating. We will start the movie at 6 p.m. and this month it's The Greatest Showman. Oh, it's almost time for spring community groups. This is where we meet in smaller groups for discussion and getting to know folks in our community better. Most meet bi-weekly for 6 weeks. But first, we need to have hosts sign up. The link to sign up is in our Facebook private group on the kansascityoasis.org under What's Happening, or you can scan the QR code behind me. So we like to have community groups in all the different areas, so that would be great if you want to step up. Oh, this is a, oh no, I was oohing for the next slide, but you guys don't know what that is, so. Sunday, February 15th, we're going to Lakeside Nature Center. I'm sorry, Saturday, February 15th, we are going to Lakeside Nature Center. Bring the kiddos for this free, family-friendly event in Swope Park. There are lots of activities for kids, and the educational animal presentations begin at 11. Fun for all ages. This is the one I was oohing about. This is a big deal for Kansas City Oasis. I am so happy we got this is Forrest Valkai will be speaking on April 6th. That'll be our 11th anniversary Sunday gathering. This speaker is amazing. So we're only able to do it because we've gotten a lot of contributions, money, offers for hotels and things. If you'd like to help us make this happen, we would appreciate any donations that you would like to make. Oh, for those of you that are Facebook users, please be sure you are on our Oasis private page. Any of our existing members can send you a link, friend invite, and add you to the page. This allows you to engage in discussions, ask questions, and connect with other Oasis members. Ask someone with the yellow name tag and they can get you signed up. And that brings us to our community moment. And before I go on, we'd really appreciate if people have anything they'd like to talk about, they step up, because we are getting a little short. So raise your hand if you've done a community moment. Now turn to the person that doesn't have their hand up and slap them. Oh, a lot of slapping going on over here. So yeah, we could really use some. Community moments are opportunity for a member or of our community to present on a topic of their choice during the Sunday gathering. Topics can be related to your profession, hobbies, travels, experiences, volunteer experiences. So you can see, you can go to the kcoasis.org, or you can talk to Julie Manning right back there. She may not be back there when you go, but unless you're going to stay right there. Okay, so I already told you what a community moment is. Today's community moment is by Al Ortega. He's sarcastic, lazy, and apparently he got bored, so his warning is, what's the worst that could happen? I can't wait to find out.
Yeah, I didn't want to come up with 3. It's one of the benefits of being lazy. As Mark mentioned, they definitely need community moment speakers, because I found out I was doing this a very short while ago. So if it seems a little bit rough and uncoordinated, it's because it is. As Mark said, there's a whole bunch of different things that people can talk about, which is great. And if you run out of ideas or don't have any, or like me, are lazy, Julie Manning put up a big board back there that has all kinds of different ideas, which is where I stole the idea of what I'm going to speak about today. Except that because there was not a lot of time to prep it, I'm also going to bullshit with a little bit of bio stuff to provide some backstory and some context. Hopefully that'll make sense. We'll see how it goes. I grew up in a very evangelical Christian home. We went to church Sunday morning, Sunday evening, Wednesday, and if it was a revival week, we would be there pretty much every single night. There was a constant message of, you're not good enough, you need to accept Jesus, and by the way, he might be coming tomorrow, so you better do it right now. So I can't tell you how many different altar calls that we went through, because pastors at the end of every single sermon would ensure that there was enough guilt being portrayed that somebody was going to come to the front and rededicate their life to Christ, even if it was for the 15th time that year. So these were a series of movies that we would sometimes watch during the revival process. And they are horrible, horrible movies, bad acting, bad scripting. But when you're 8, 9 years old, like I was at the time when these came out, this is just in line with the rest of the message that you're getting, that you have to do this stuff because, I don't know it's hard to see, but there's a tagline on the fourth one over there that says, "This is a true story that's yet to happen." And and that is very much the way that they viewed it, is it was a true story yet to happen. These are all the things that Revelations and Isaiah and stuff talk about, and you've got to get it right. I'm not here to shit on religion. I know we got our smooch folks here. That's not the intent. I'm just providing some backstory of sort of where I came from in terms of the later part. So yeah, this is very much where it started. I would be 10 years old reading books by like Hal Lindsey called The Late Great Planet Earth, for the people who remember. It was all about how the end of the world was gonna come and all these things were gonna happen. And I quickly realized after I started reading like the second and third editions that none of this stuff is actually happening. And we have a tradition in the Ortega family of the men just sort of going a little bit crazy for a while and then coming back to Jesus. And so at about 10 or 11, I decided that's what I was gonna do. It was my turn. So I may have overcorrected, because if I could snort it, drink it, smoke it, or fuck it, I did. And in about August of 1992, shortly after turning 18, I found myself with a new home address. And while all the partying and stuff happened in the 80s, for those that remember, it was a great, great time. The 90s was a different story. And there was, 3 strikes and you're out, felony convictions, and it was very, very different time. You couldn't go down to the street to the local dispensary, which is one of 50 in your town, for the same amount of there that I had about a quarter bag and a couple of joints. That was distribution. That was a 5-year prison sentence in Arizona State with no possibility of parole, because that was the time at sentence. When you have laws like that, though, one of the great things that happens is the jails get very, very full. So since I was a first-time non-offender, I was given a program to go a little bit and do a change. So I completed some probation, did the things that I needed to do, and then it was time to make a change. And so I wish I had the hair still, but so what happened was then I figured, okay, this is Ortega family man tradition. You go, you fuck up, you do all the stuff that you want to, and then you have your, I need to come back to Jesus time, right? So that's what I was planning on doing, and so I joined the Marine Corps. I had a lot of fun. It was the best decision I've ever made in my life. So I did that, and I began to go down this path of trying to be that Christian person I was supposed to. A lot of people in my family are pastors. They're engaged in a lot of churches. They teach at Liberty University, all kinds of different stuff. So that was just sort of the path that I sort of expected that I was going to be on. So I kept trying to make it work. I kept trying to read, and so I spent about 10 years going through reading systematic theology books, reading apologetics books, fully engaged in all that, but always still having these questions that I couldn't quite get answered, or I just didn't like the answers that just didn't make sense to me. And so I still thought, though, that that was the right answer. And so there was this version of me that's here that taught Sunday school, that preached sermons, that went to Sacramento Bible Theology Seminary and Calvary Bible College over here, was fully committed to trying to do this. And then there was this other me over here that had these doubts and these questions and these challenges. And over time, the distance between this dude and this dude, I'm not going to go over there because I get blinded by the light, kept growing and growing. And I kept thinking that this was the real me over here, and that this was sort of the imposter side over here, that if I could just get the fucking questions answered, I could put this dude away and then be happy being this dude here. And then eventually over time, I realized that's not really the case. This was the fraud dude, and the guy that doesn't know anything and can't figure anything out, yeah, that's who I actually am. So that's where the questions I had, the challenges I had, I just sort of needed to give those up. And what I realized over time was that this person was also the one that had a relationship with my then wife. That's the one that had a relationship with my kids. That's the one that had a relationship with my family, my friends, all that stuff. Because this guy over here was the one that I kept hidden because I was ashamed of the questions that I had, the challenges that I had, and I couldn't figure them out. So when I came to that conclusion that I needed to kill this dude, and I needed to reintroduce myself to my family, to my loved ones, to my friends, that was quite a bit of a challenge that I had to figure out, how am I going to do this? Because effectively, they don't know me. They think they do, but they don't, because they know a version of me that's not really authentic. And so I needed to become authentic for myself. And so that's the card I actually picked off of Julia's board, is how to be, overcome some of those things, overcome some of those self-doubts, and just sort of be like authentic to yourself. So the first one is I needed to be honest with myself. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, one night about 12, 13 years ago, I told myself out loud, because for some reason I felt I needed to say it out loud, I don't believe this anymore. I don't believe in God anymore. I don't believe this anymore. I can't do this. Maybe there is a God. I don't know. Don't care. But every bit of understanding that I have about him is wrong. And so I need to start over with the intention of, I don't know shit. I also needed to practice self-compassion because I grew up in a very critical self-home, and I was a very critical person of myself. And I needed to say, you know what, I need to like re-engage with my thinking and how I'm doing that and not beat myself up so much. So that was another thing that helped me sort of overcome that challenge that I was sort of going through over there. I needed to become skeptical of my thinking and practice, and also practice mindfulness, where to recognize that not only do I not know what I'm doing, nobody else does either. We're all trying to figure this shit out. We all have different ideas, and it's great, and we can share ideas, but now I'm not gonna be ever in the position of, oh, I know this. Like, no, I think this for now, but if you know something that I don't, and I guarantee you do, maybe I can learn from some of that. For some folks, they may need to seek professional help, getting therapy and going through this. I know that we have a lot of interest in folks that support that are recovering from religion. If religion is anything, it could be people, unfortunately with our current administration, I think the laws they're going to pass are going to try to put a lot of people, making them feel that they need to go back into a closet. And I don't know about you, but I've been in closets before. I would never want to live there. It's a pretty shitty thing. So we want to make sure that we can resist that. And so professional help can do that. And the last thing that really helped me come through that thing was to surround myself with supporting people. When I told my best friend at the time that, hey, I don't think I believe this stuff anymore, my best friend of 15 years read me the Riot Act and hasn't spoken to me since. But I also got introduced to a lot of other good friends and a lot of other people. And groups like this, that's why I moved that one to the last bullet, was because groups like Oasis, holy shit, I would have loved that 12, 15 years ago when I was going through that. To know that there was a group that was like this, that says, we just accept you as you are. Not as you think you should be, but just as you are. It is a tremendous benefit to be able to come to an organization like this. Like I said, it's been great for me over the past couple years that I've been over here. I enjoy it. I see it every day where people support each other in the community out there. So quite honestly, I thank you for being just who you are and the things that you do. Didn't make much of a sense for me at the time, didn't help, but I know for other folks that come in that they feel that, wow, this is just a different kind of a place, and that no matter what, we all sort of need that support in there. So if you ever want any tips over there, take that slide. Don't take the slide, whatever. But yeah, that was the community moment, and like Mark said, if you got other ideas, talk about whatever. There's all sort of different ideas. We'd love to have more community moment speakers and stuff. So that's it. I don't know.
Sorry, I tripped over a dead owl over here, so just get rid of that thing. Man, I learn something new about you every time I talk to you. Thank you, Al. Oh, it's time for a coffee break. Take a minute, meet somebody, share your experiences with the UUs, schmooze, whichever they are. So talk to somebody new. We'll be back in 20 minutes. Only. So when we bought this building, I was wondering how we would ever fill this room with enough people, and we're going to outgrow it soon, it looks like, which is a good thing. Are we on? Yoo-hoo! Let's go! All right, everybody get a seat. Do I have to click it or? So while we wait, I want to reiterate about community moments. I'm sorry that you had to see Al as our community moment, and I know you all don't want to follow him, but somebody's got to do it. So, and I don't want it to be me. All right, let's welcome back Nathan to play another song for us. There's a cash tip jar over here for all you Luddites that don't know how to use electronics things. There is we also have a Venmo address right there. And it works this week, so give it a try. All right, take it away, Nathan. Oh, sorry, I have to read this. Nathan, can you tell us a little bit about Atomic Daydream, or about playing David Bowie and Freddie Mercury at the Record Bar the past 3 nights?
Yeah. Well, first off, I want to say, if you were thinking about giving me a tip, just donate to Oasis or to the ACLU instead.
Very nice. Thank you, Nathan. Nathan, I got to say one thing though. I'm a little disappointed. I was looking forward to that stomp box, but I can't have everything.
Next time.
All right.
Yeah. So I do have I have a couple of bands that I play with. Not a Planet is a group that I've had for a very long time. It was the group that I formed when I moved to Kansas City from New York, and we toured together for 8 to 10 years ish. We still play sometimes together as well. A newer group that I've got is My Atomic Daydream. And the songs that I was playing today are from that group. And I also am one of the vocalists and guitarists in a David Bowie tribute in town. We do one big weekend run of shows once a year, and it is a lot of fun. But I'm coming off that, so I'm a little bit froggy today. Still kind of waking up. But I'm delighted to be here with you guys. I've met a lot of really nice people, and it's nice to see a community like this in Kansas City, and I'm glad to have learned about it and to be able to be a part of it today. So.
Taking aim for the spin
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That was wonderful. I've got bad news for all you guys and gals out there. I believe you're married, right? Yeah. Sorry about that. His lovely wife is here. Say hi. That's amazing. You are. Left me speechless. All right. This brings us to our main event, the speaker disclaimer. Actually, the speaker, but our program is designed to generate conversation and engage our powers of reason, not as a forum to start debates. The following presentation has been prepared by our speaker and not by Kansas City Oasis. Please respect the views of our speaker, and if you have any question, a question and answer portion will follow. Today we have Dr. Micah W. Kubic. He's served as the executive director of the ACLU of Kansas City since 2022, with more than 20 years of experience in civil rights and racial justice work. Micah leads one of the largest advocacy organizations in the state, defending and strengthening the rights that belong to everyone under the Constitution. So, where is Micah? Oh, there he is. Come on up, Micah. There you go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Micah.
All right, well, good morning, everyone. You do what you do, but I think you can do better, because when I extend the greeting, it is your job to return it. So we are going to try again. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Micah.
Much better. So it is really a pleasure, a delight to be here with you this morning. Oh, it's not working.
Anybody got a story while we wait? No?
All right. Well, it is really a pleasure to be here with you this morning. So I have had the pleasure of coming and visiting with you a few times in the past, and it has been wonderful to watch your journey. I remember the first time I came, you were over at the Tony Aguirre Community Center, and then at the Athenaeum, and then at UMKC, and now your own building. So really quite a journey. And so I'm delighted to spend a little time with you this morning. I want to make sure that I leave plenty of time at the end for questions so that we talk about things that you care about, not just the things that I care about. For those of you who don't know, the ACLU is a national, nonprofit, nonpartisan, non-political organization founded over 105 years ago for one reason and one reason only, and that is to defend the rights that belong to every single person in this country under the Constitution. Thank you. And I think that it is especially important that we say right now every person, because there are some folks running around who think that rights belong to some people and not to everyone, when in fact the Constitution is really for everyone. Different rights belong to different sets of people, but everyone should be and is protected by the Constitution. And so we at the ACLU, we defend all the rights that belong to people under the Constitution, from the right to free speech, the right to vote, the right to be yourself, the right to due process, the right to be free from government intrusion, all of the rights that are in the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. That's what we exist to defend. And although we are nonpartisan and non-political, that does not mean that we do not have a point of view, because we got opinions, lots of them. Lots of opinions, and we're going to share some today. So I was thinking a little bit about what I wanted to say to you this morning, and my father is from the deep South, where storytelling is sort of an art and a pastime, and so that is where I oftentimes go when I am myself looking for guidance and direction, is to stories. And so I was remembering the very first story that I heard as a child. It is not particularly sophisticated. It is not elegant. It is not fine literature. But I guarantee you've heard it. And I think it speaks to the moment that we are in this country. So the very first story I heard as a child was one about three little pigs. I think y'all probably remember this, right? Like nods of recognition. Three little pigs. There were three little pigs, each of whom wanted to build a house. The first little pig was probably a little bit lazy, certainly complacent, and so decided to build a house out of straw. And so the big bad wolf is watching. He comes along, he huffs and he puffs, and he blows that house down and eats the first little pig up. The second little pig is watching from afar, is perhaps a little more on the ball, decides to take just one little lesson from this, and so he decides to build a house made out of sticks. But still, the big bad wolf comes along, he huffs and he puffs, he blows that house down, and he eats the second little pig up. The third little pig is a lot smarter than the rest of them. The third little pig watches and sees what has happened, and so he decides to get to work. He decides to get some bricks and some mortar, to lay a strong foundation, to build a house of bricks. And so when the big bad wolf comes along, he huffs and he puffs, he huffs and he puffs, but he cannot blow that house down. Now, when we hear stories like this as children, they are not designed just to entertain us, right? They're also supposed to teach us a lesson. We're supposed to take something from them. They are parables, not just stories. And so what are the lessons that we are supposed to take from this little story? Well, first of all, not to be complacent, to be aware of danger and the threats around us, to do hard work, to put planning and thought and effort and strategy into the things we do. And third of all, to build up strong defenses against those who would wreak chaos and havoc and destruction and intimidation. Now, what could any of that have to do with the moment that we are in? What could that have to do? Right? I think many of you already know, right? The answer is that, of course, we have a new administration in Washington, and it is an administration that has allies here in the Midwest, in both Kansas and in Missouri. And I can guarantee you that for the next 4 years, Donald Trump and his allies are going to huff and puff and huff and puff and huff and puff like you have never seen before. And our job is to make sure that the house of American democracy, the house of American freedom, the house of American justice, the house of American equality does not fall down. We can do that. We can do that. That is our job. That is our job. To do that, we know what we have to do. At the ACLU, we are building what we call a firewall for freedom. We are laying those bricks. We are building that strong foundation. We are building up our defenses so that when Donald Trump and Chris Kobach and the state legislatures do their thing, this house will not fall down. Instead, we're going to make sure that the firewall we build is strong enough to withstand all the huffing and puffing that they are going to bring at us. And we're doing that in a couple of really critical ways that I want to share with you because they depend on you. The firewall doesn't get built by itself. It's not a matter of just thinking it and it suddenly manifesting. No, there's work that we have to do together in order to build a strong firewall for freedom. First of all, we have to push back against every single attack that we see come down the way. Now, there's going to be a lot, again, of huffing and puffing. Some of it's going to be real. Some of it's going to be vapor. We got to distinguish between the two. But the ones that are real, we have to be prepared to push back, to resist, to say this is wrong, we won't stand for it, and to use the levers that we have to do something about it. And we know for sure that the administration and the state legislatures, they're coming after immigrants. They're coming after LGBT people. They are coming after reproductive freedom. They're coming after voting rights. We already know the list of things that they want to destroy, the list of things where they want to wreak havoc, and so our job is to pull the levers in response. So, for example, sometimes that means going to court. Sometimes we're able to stop things legislatively, but sometimes it means going to court. During the first Trump administration, the ACLU filed 443 separate legal actions against the Trump administration, won the majority of them, and this time around I think we might get to 1,000. Because as soon as the Trump administration, on the very beginning of its term, passed this wildly, flagrantly, bizarrely unconstitutional executive order that tries to strip citizenship away from millions of Americans. Let's be clear. They're trying to get rid of what they call birthright citizenship. It's in the Constitution. This is not speculation. This is not some like weird theory. You can go and read the words in the 14th Amendment that say that folks who are born on American soil are citizens. And the Trump administration came in and said they want to strip citizenship away from millions of people who are in that category. We're not talking about the future. We're talking about people who have lived their entire lives as American citizens. And beyond that, we're talking about folks who are the descendants of folks who became citizens that way. So this is a truly epic, truly immense attempt to subvert the Constitution and to wreak havoc, to create an environment of fear and harassment and intimidation in the country, and flagrantly unconstitutional. But 59 minutes after the executive order was signed, the ACLU had a lawsuit filed. And already a temporary injunction has been issued stopping the administration from enforcing this view, stopping them from wreaking this kind of havoc. We still got a long ways to go because court fights are long and arduous and frustrating, but we have already begun the work to fight back against that sort of thing. We already know that there are other attacks coming, and we are prepared to do the same. But we also have to do that work at the local level. It's not enough just to say, Donald Trump, the Trump administration are out to do this or that. We don't like it. Let's do something about that. There are state and local elected officials who are engaging in the same sort of activity. And there we have a responsibility and the opportunity to do something about it. So I work primarily in the state of Kansas, that great civil liberties paradise on the plains, where we were gifted with a state legislature made up of 165 of the most wackadoodle folks you could possibly imagine. There's some good ones too, to be clear, right? But if you picked at random 165 people in this entire country, you could probably do a little better. So last year, we were successful in fending off all of the attacks they made on especially gender-affirming care and voting rights. But we already know that they are coming back. And our job is to stop those things from becoming law. So last year, the Kansas state legislature had the single most extreme attack on gender-affirming care, on transgender people, of any state in the nation. The single most extreme. Before that, Missouri had the claim on the most extreme bill. Last year, Kansas attempted to pass the single most extreme attack on transgender people anywhere in the country. That said, as a minor, you would not be able to receive care, no matter what your doctors thought, no matter what your parents thought, no matter what you thought, that it was irrelevant, that we were going to ignore medical advice, we were going to ignore this idea that parents have rights, we were going to ignore the idea that you get to make decisions about your own health care, your own bodily autonomy, because the folks in Topeka are so much smarter and wiser than us. And so they were trying to do that. What made it even more extreme, though, what made it the most extreme bill in the entire country, was that it also said that it would have been a crime for public employees, that means social workers, maybe teachers, to assist in the social transitioning of transgender folks. And they defined social transitioning as meaning using the pronouns that a person wants used, using the name that a person wants used, or supporting someone who decided to wear clothes that the folks in Topeka think don't match their gender. Now, it doesn't really define what that is, and I think we all know that in 1935, women weren't really wearing pants, so some of these folks are stuck in 1935. So the idea that they think it's okay today, I'm a little skeptical. This would have said it was a crime for those public employees to support social transitioning in that way, regardless of their own views, right? So it could be that a parent at home wants to support their child and use pronouns and a name that is aligned with that person's identity. But if they're a teacher, it's a crime to do the very same thing at work with the very same child. That's crazy. That's crazy. Using the power of government to regulate like that, that's crazy. That's extreme. And that's why we were able last year to mount a vigorous offense against this. We got teachers and parents and medical doctors and folks who were impacted to all say this is really a very extreme thing. It goes way, way, way too far. And we were able to defeat it in the Kansas State Legislature. In fact, it was the only place in the entire country where one of these actually came up for a vote on the floor and lost. The only state in the country where one of these actually lost. But they have not given up, and so they're going to come back again this year. In fact, the bill has already been fast-tracked for hearings on Tuesday of this coming week in both the State House and the State Senate. And so our job, if we want to build a firewall for freedom, is to make sure that our state legislators know that this is not who we want to be. This is not about freedom. This is not about justice. This is not about equality. And we want them to send this bill back to the graveyard. That's the job that we have to do now. The other thing that we already know they are coming for is voting rights. Voting rights, voting rights. Last year and the year before, we defeated every single attack on voting rights that came out of the Kansas State Legislature because we believe that Kansans deserve to be heard, that your vote is your voice, that it is your way of having a seat at the table, it is your way of saying you are part of this community, you are part of something bigger than yourself, and the right to vote is very, very important for that reason. It's not just about pulling the lever for one crummy politician or another. It is instead about saying that you are part of the community, that we are all in this together. And so attacks on voting rights are really attacks on that idea of democracy, that we all matter, that we are all part of this. And we know this year that they are coming especially to get rid of what they call the mail processing window in Kansas. So in Kansas, if you put your ballot in the mail before the end of Election Day, it has a few days to get to the county election office and still be counted. It has 3 days to make its way through the mail. And the folks in the legislature want to get rid of that mail processing window. They want to punish folks who have done everything right. The folks who use this, they have done everything right. They have requested a ballot ahead of time. They sat down at the kitchen table to figure out who they were going to vote for. They filled in the little bubbles inside the lines, not outside the lines. They put it in an envelope. They went and bought a stamp, no small expenditure nowadays, went to the post office, put it in the mail. They did absolutely everything right. But the state legislature wants to say that because sometimes the mail is slow and it takes a few days to get where it's going, that those votes should be tossed out. And mind you, this hurts a lot of people in Kansas because there are a lot of folks who use mail-in ballots. Because guess what? Folks are busy. They have other things going on in their lives. The ability to use a mail-in ballot makes turnout go up, and those votes should be counted. It is especially true that senior citizens and communities of color use mail-in ballots at high rates. And out in western rural Kansas, the mail goes especially slow, and even more people use mail-in ballots because it's so ding-dang far to drive to the polling place. In fact, in parts of western Kansas, the mail literally goes out of state to be processed before it comes back into Kansas. And these folks think that 3 measly days is too long to give people that opportunity. And the reason they say that we need to get rid of the mail processing window, the reason we need to punish voters, eligible voters, for the slowness of the post office, well, it's so dumb, I am embarrassed to even share it with you, really. This is one of the dumber things I have ever heard in my life. So they say that the reason we need to get rid of the mail processing window is that if we counted the ballots that came in after Election Day, if we counted those ballots, the vote totals would change. Did I undersell it? That's sort of what happens when you count stuff, right? Like, the total changes. That is the whole thing. That is the whole thing. There's not some sort of permanent number that has to happen at 10 o'clock on Tuesday night before you go to bed, right? That is not the way elections work. We need to give it time to work. We need to give our election workers time to do their jobs. We need to give postal workers time to do their jobs. And if the vote totals are a little different the days after, that's okay. In fact, they're always a little bit different because there are also provisional ballots that we're counting and ballots that come in from overseas, from military installations. And sometimes there are just ballots where it's a little unclear whether it was correct or not, whether it's to be counted or not. So you have some time anyways. All of that is to say that this attack on the mail processing window isn't actually about those number of folks who are casting ballots that way. It's not really about the mail. It's really about whether we believe that the vote is something that is a right or not, whether it is a right or a privilege. It's about whether we are really going to stand up for democracy. It's about whether we really believe that voting rights are critical. Because an attack like this one is really just the first of many. It is not the last. It is the first of many other attacks and ways to undermine the right to vote. We defeated it last year and the year before. We already know they've started again. Once again, our job here, if we want to build a firewall for freedom, is to say no to this sort of stuff. This is a way of repudiating not just attacks on voting rights locally, but nationwide. It is a way of staking out our territory here and saying that we believe in the right to vote. So we have work to do in the state legislature there. That's one way that we build the firewall for freedom, is responding to all of the attacks, making sure that we are doing what we can to preserve freedom and justice and equality. That's one. The second big thing we need to do, though, is not just react, but be proactive. Not just be defensive, but to go on the offense in terms of our advocacy for justice, our advocacy for freedom, our advocacy for constitutional rights. And the reality is that there are lots and lots and lots of things that state and local governments, especially local governments, especially in our area where many jurisdictions, cities and counties share our values, there are lots of things that we can do at the local level to make life actually better, to improve our constitutional rights, to expand our constitutional rights, to show a freedom-embracing alternative that also build a firewall for freedom. One way that we make sure that the attacks don't succeed is by making that wall of freedom as tall and thick and strong and impervious as we possibly can. And there are lots of things that folks at the local level can do about that. So cities and counties, they can pass non-discrimination ordinances that protect everyone, including LGBT folks that the state and the federal government want to ignore. Local governments, they can expand their policies around voting rights to make sure that there are more days of early voting, to make it easier for folks to participate, to make sure that precincts are in places that make sense for people, to make sure that the offices are staffed in a way that actually makes it easier for folks to participate, to make sure that ballots and other information are available in languages that people can understand. You know, in Wyandotte County, just over, 2 blocks that way, about 30% of Wyandotte County is white, about 30% is black, about 30% is Hispanic, and about 10% is everything else from all around the world. This is a place where about 1 in 6 eligible citizen voters in Wyandotte County speak Spanish as their first language. And yet, until last November, there wasn't a single scrap of paper available in the Wyandotte County election office in a language other than English. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen when folks who are citizens, want to be engaged, but find the system intimidating and overwhelming? What do you think is going to happen when information is not available in a way that can be easily processed? You see very low voter turnout, as you see in Wyandotte County, consistently the second lowest voter turnout of any county in the state of Kansas. And that is a direct result of those decisions that get made. So we need to expand language access in Wyandotte County and in Johnson County and in Shawnee County, all around the state. That's something we can do and should do. And that decision is made not in Washington, not in Topeka. It's made locally, at the local level, by local decision makers who listen to folks just like you when you come and nag them about it. That's the key. Nagging is the key. Voting rights, criminal justice reform, the same thing. These are decisions that are not made in Washington, not made in Topeka, but made at the local level by county prosecutors and county elected officials who can say, we want a criminal justice system that doesn't create a two-tiered system, one for folks who have money and one for folks who don't. Because that's what we have with bail in our criminal justice system today. If you're eligible for bail, the court has already said that you are not a flight risk and that you are not a danger to others. Because if you are, it wouldn't matter how much money you pay us, you're not getting out. Bail is for folks who they've already made that determination. And yet, it is entirely based on whether you can afford it or not. There are lots of folks who are sitting in jail because they don't have $500 to post bail. The family doesn't have $500. They don't have access to $500. If they don't have it, they stay in. The person who has $500 gets out. That's a two-tiered system, one that rewards folks based on wealth, not on the underlying merits. Changing that is something that the county prosecutor and county judges can do. It doesn't require the legislature, doesn't require the governor, doesn't require the president. It just requires different decisions to be made locally. And there are bunches of those. In fact, on our website, you will find 53 separate things that local governments can do that are entirely within their own power on all of the hot issues of the moment, that are about building a firewall for freedom. They're about saying, we want a different alternative, and in building a different alternative, we're also saying no to the extremism, we're saying no to the attacks on civil liberties, we're saying no to the attacks on civil rights. That is the work that we have to do now at the local level. It's not enough just to focus on saying no to the things that we see from Donald Trump and this little island of malicious misfit toys that is the cabinet. It is about building proactive alternatives at the local level. That's the way that we build a firewall for freedom. That's the way we withstand all that we are going to endure for the next couple of years. So when I look out on the world today, I am reminded again of that story that I learned as a child about the big bad wolf who was huffing and puffing and huffing and puffing. And I think the answer right now is not to engage in the complacency of dwelling in a straw hut. It is not to pretend that there is no threat. It is not to pretend that everything's going to be all right if we just sit here and ignore it. That little pig got ate up. The answer right now is not to build a shack of sticks to sort of putter around in there saying, well, maybe we can just make a deal with the big bad wolf. Maybe we can compromise if we cooperate a little here and there. Maybe everything will be all right. No, that little pig got ate up too. The real answer to how we are going to survive is to build a firewall for freedom, to build a house of stone, to build a house of brick and mortar that is strong and thick and able to withstand all the huffing and the puffing. Because we know that the huffing and the puffing is coming. If you think it's not, talk to me afterwards. We'll have a conversation. But the huffing and the puffing is coming. And when it comes, I know that we will have built a firewall for freedom that is so strong that our house of American democracy will not fall down.
All right. I got to admit, my favorite part was the ding dang. So I'm going to teach that to my granddaughter so she can stop saying damn it all the time. So now it's time for questions. Make sure that, I knew there would be a few. Make sure that your question ends in a question mark, please. Can some front people do this?
I'm glad he has to pick, not me.
So not that long ago, news came out that they were going to make it so that if the government didn't agree with a nonprofit, they could be labeled as a terrorist organization. How does that affect the ACLU?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So for folks who don't know, there was this move at the end of last year that essentially empowered the IRS and the Department of Treasury to decide that a nonprofit organization was supporting terrorism in some sort of way, and that they could then strip away your nonprofit designation, your tax status. Wouldn't allow them to close the organization down, but would allow them to strip away the tax status where folks are able to grant tax-deductible donations. So a bad thing, to be clear. Like, empowering the government in this way is almost always a bad thing because it requires or allows them to make decisions about speech, or allows them to make decisions about favored views or not. And it's very unclear what would fall under this designation of terrorism. So it's something that we opposed then, oppose now. I think it will be litigated. How it affects the ACLU is probably not very much. In the first place, we are doing everything, we have done everything we can to make sure that our own internal houses are in order, right? So we are professional, we got accountants, we got lawyers, we have all the things to make sure our own books and house is in order in a way that we are not easily targetable, right? I think the organizations that are going to be most vulnerable here are the ones that are just smaller, that have less professionalized, less long-standing professionalized attributes, and so that's a problem for them. The other way is that we at the ACLU have a couple different entities. So we have the 501c3, which is the tax-exempt and tax-deductible organization. That's the kind that they're going after. So we have one of those, and then we have two other types of entities under the tax law that are not covered in the same way and that allow us to do our work in different ways as well. And so those are going to exist no matter what might happen with the other. So the answer is we're going to be here no matter what. If they want to come after us, bring it. We'll see you.
So how does one go about volunteering for you, and what kind of volunteers do you need?
Great, thank you. Great question. So everything is on this, is at the website. Thank you to the folks who put together this slide that shows our Kansas affiliate, the national organization, and ACLU of Missouri. Each of us have a tab on there on how you can get involved. At the ACLU of Kansas, especially, we have a program that we call the Beehive, which is volunteers who work with us, especially on this local level work. So they basically take a list of 25 people in their own community. They get in touch with them once a month on a special request that we are making then that's about a local activity, like a local thing that can be done to get folks engaged in that. And they are in touch with the same 25 people over and over and over again throughout the course of the year. Folks who we already know are basically sympathetic to our values, but letting them know about something, encouraging them to take action, because all of the research shows that if you do that, if you just get in touch with the same people consistently, 12 times in the course of the year, it raises the order of priority that they put on that issue, makes them more likely to take action in the long run. And so that's our biggest volunteer program, is that Beehive. That's about doing that. But we always have other needs as well, and you can sign up for all of those to sort of raise your hand on the website. We have a field department made up of 4 people whose only job is to plug folks into those activities and to make sure that folks have a way to be active in this fight for freedom. Thank you.
So we have time for just one more question. I'm sorry. Micah will be here afterwards. Anybody wants to talk to him, ask questions, feel free.
I want to piggyback on this, Denise's. Oasis is that 501c3. I think we're professional, but maybe not. Being very secular, how likely are we going to be a target, and what can we do if they start it?
So it's a great question. I should also say thank you to Denise, because she is the one who always invites me to come. So thank you, Denise. I mean, I think we don't really know is the answer. So they have said that this is in the marketing of this particular effort back at the end of the year. They said it was about organizations that were supporting Islamic terrorism and was particularly in the context of events in Gaza. That said, anytime the government has the power to make these sorts of decisions, it can run amok, it can run haywire, and there is no really good way of determining what they're going to do. So the only good advice that we can give to folks is, again, to make sure your own house is in order, to make sure that your books are in good shape, to make sure that you're following bylaws, that you're following the law, and protecting yourself in as many ways as possible there. How expansive they will be in interpreting terrorism, who knows? And that is itself the danger, right? The danger is not about terror, it's not about the tax exempt, it's about the power that the government has to use it as a tool of persecution and suppression of disfavored views, disfavored actors, disfavored ideologies. And I think we can certainly say that this administration thus far has shown its willingness to use its power to persecute those who disagree with it. And so I think it is something we absolutely have to be on alert about without being panicky, right? Being alert is different from being panicked. Being alert means you do what you need to do, you take care of yourself, and you wait in readiness without working yourself up into the panic that's going to deprive you of the energy you might need later on. So don't panic is the answer, while also keep your eyes open. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you, Micah. That gives me hope, knowing that we have smart, intelligent people like Micah that are out there working on our behalf. I did have one question for him. Micah, I have one question. Can I ask you a question? What the hell's going on down south? The version of the Three Pigs I saw, no pigs died. Did the pigs die in your version? You Southerners are scary. Yeah, I'm terrified. Okay, I'm sorry, I should have clicked this earlier, so read it yourselves. While our musician is coming back up on stage, I wanted to remind everybody that Kansas City Oasis is a 501c3 nonprofit. It's run solely on donations and volunteers. If you like the topic and the music today, please consider donating through kansascityoasis.org/donate or by Venmo. Reoccurring monthly donations is the most helpful way to donate. And welcome back, Micah. Oh, I'm sorry. Nathan, welcome back.
Thank you guys again. And thanks to Micah for speaking and giving us all a little education on how we can help out.
Close to the garden of truth grow the lies, accessories to the demise of the man in the castle, the rise of the sea. Time, a poisonous rain, a solution. Drink to ensure the confusion between waking moments and moments you dream. We try. But it's hard to tell just what to do. So maybe a lie is just better, better, better for me and for you. More It's a word you might use to describe the distance between the divide of a love in the bedroom and a love nevermore. We try most of the time, mostly it's true. There's truth in the lies most of the time. I lie to you. When you told me you don't love me no more, I saw the truth in your eyes. Yes, I did. When you turned away, thought I heard you say, babe, I wish you would try. Now you're every day, I find every way to see truth in your lies. We try most of the time, mostly it's true. There's truth in the lies most of the times. I lie to you, but it's hard to tell just what to do. So maybe a lie is just better, better, better for me and for you. Thank you.
Very nice. Let's not forget to show Nathan some love. We can donate on Venmo. We also have the empty tip jar up here that you could fill up.
Like I said, just to Oasis and the ACLU.
There you go. I forgot about that. Very nice. Thank you, Nathan. You know, I have a little trivia for the Unitarians. Do you know back in the 70s, there was a lady that attended there. Her name was Christy Tews. She was one of the women on the first women's expedition to climb Annapurna down in South America. It was she wasn't a mountain climber. Most of the women on there weren't mountain climbers, but they were the first team to ever reach the summit. So, interesting fact. At least I thought it was interesting. You can join us for lunch after Oasis to continue the conversation at Tanner's at 3900 Rainbow Boulevard, just around the corner. Oh, this is a big one. Help us keep our building clean. Look around you, pick up anything that you see. If it's not yours, please pick it up anyway. Next week, we have our featured speaker, Samuel Rache. It'll be the Truman and the Library History. Our musical guest will be Addie Rain. Do we not have a community moment? It's time for somebody to step up as a community moment. We really need to fill that slide out. What? Okay. Oh. I thought we did. Okay, never mind. And that's the end. We want to thank all of our presenters. We want to thank Nathan, Micah, Al. I want to thank Jason, Denise, Julie Manning. They make it easy to be an MC because no matter how bad I am, these guys were great. So I really appreciate all your effort. Thank you all so much. Have a good rest of your week.